everyone. Welcome to the Book Over, our little book club where we talk about books, especially the books that give us book hangovers. I'm Sarah, and with me is Megan.
Hi.
Today we are talking about Dead Drop by Tate James. It's the second book in the Guild book series.
Yeah. Yes, so excited.
So let's start with a spoiler alert. We're talking about the book. Book 2. All the book. I'm trying very hard not to like jump to anything to stay in order here. So we pick up at the end of book 1, basically.
So we had predictions last time of how this would go.
Yes, we did. I don't even remember what my prediction was, but I think I was very happy with what happened.
I loved what happened. I was definitely happy with what happened.
Yeah. Well, I think I really liked was, she's waking up. Here he is, like, trying to kill her.
Yeah.
And then, like, they end up fighting and, like, talking and fighting. And it's just like, okay, let me, it's just like, I was very happy with how it went. Yeah. And it's so weird to me that she's like, oh, like she was like kind of attracted to him still.
Yeah, it was like, because that's what turns her on.
Yeah. And I just like, there was something about that where I'm like, I just love how like they're such a good fit, because like throughout this book there was so many scenes where like he was turned on by her. Like Leon was like, oh my gosh, I loved watching her torture that guy. Like I just like, it was like they're so meant for each other because of that.
I think they needed the fight almost. I think like that kind of showed her more of his non-bunny side. Like I think that was like needed for her. Like that kind of almost completed the puzzle, like where we felt almost betrayed that he would even entertain killing her, but he had such an allegiance to the guild. I mean, he was raised that way, but he like, I don't know if he would have gone through with it. I don't know. I just feel like
I think something would have snapped inside him if he did, but I think I think it was good that she woke up, and I think I agree, they needed to get that out of their systems. And then I love how she left.
Yes, and then he had to chase her, and because he needed that though too. It's like, hey, you did mess up a little bit there, but it was kind of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I'm like, oh, they're fighting, and he's like, just come out, I'm not gonna get you, and she's like, no, and she's in survival mode because she is an agent first and foremost, which I love, and she is attracted to that. That's like, they have such a funny relationship. I love stalkery.
Yes. I love the stalkeriness, and I just it's so funny because both of them, like all of them, like she has a like Leon in her, and then Kai in her. Like I love it.
Yeah, they're so Leon and Kai, they're both like alpha male, strong in their own right, but they're and possessive and stuff, but they're very different. They fit her very differently. I think Kai, you wouldn't see it, but he's like the sensitive, warm side of her.
Yeah. Well, and she wasn't reading Kai all the time correctly, I felt like.
Yeah.
And so that was really interesting that they still need to get to know each other a little bit more. But I just, the nicknames too, I love the nicknames. And I loved calling Leon Bunny. It's just like, because I just picture this, like he looks kind of nerdy, but you could tell that he like works out and stuff, and then like and she's calling him Bunny, and he's like, he's an executioner, like and you're calling him Bunny. Like I love it.
And that's the most feared part, like guild person, are the executioners, and he's funny.
So we move on. She escapes, and then we find out that Kai has Stanley. When she realizes that Stanley's gone, I think I was like, oh no, Stan, like I felt it. I felt that Stanley was kidnapped, and I was like, how? And then I'm like, how did somebody find her place? Like I thought it was like, and so that's a big mystery I have theories, but like that's a big thing. Like who's leaking like all that knowledge? Because even Leon can't figure it out. Like who is that? So it has to be someone close to her. It has to be.
Do you think, well, okay, he had Carlos, which is jumping a little bit because we're also wondering like what happened to Carlos. And I think a lot of us are thinking Leon killed him. And then it's like, oh wait, no, Kai kidnapped Carlos, which I found very interesting. And but I was like, could he have gotten that information out of Carlos? Or like, wait, or maybe he followed Carl, like he found Carlos. So I'm like,
yeah, but Carlos never went to her house. The person who was going to her house was Jude. You know, where she's like, please remember to water Stanley and stuff. So I have theories, but we can go back to that because we don't want to jump around, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I love the scene with Kai and Stanley. I love how he's talking to Stanley. Like he's literally, he says, I see why she likes you so much, Stanley. You're a good listener, non-judgmental. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I was like, oh my, it made me love Kai even more because he like decorated Stanley and he's like talking to Stanley. And I was like, you guys are just perfect for each other. And then the fact that Leon's still like, who the fuck's Stanley?
That's the best. He thinks Stanley's this guy. He's threatened by Stanley. Honestly, he's probably still threatened by Stanley, even when he knows that he's a plant.
When he found out he was a plant, I loved the stun.
That was funny.
The stun look on. I just loved that so much. I love the like, because so this book's very, the way it's written, right? We're talking about mercenaries. We're talking about a gun, like an arms dealer. We're talking about gritty stuff that's like not roses and sunshine. But then like it's written in such a way that like we're completely okay with it and we're rooting for these not so great people, right? To find their happiness and their love of each other and for Stanley. And then she does such a good job. Tate's just doing such a good job with it that then like now she's adding like the comedy to it of like it. Like that's why I'm like, it's just amazing, you know, because you're like,
lightheartedness within the dark. It's a great economy.
Yeah, it's amazing how she's doing it because I just feel like somebody else, like I could just see going down like a very dark road, but then it's just like, no, I'm laughing over somebody being jealous over a plant because he doesn't know. Like,
I mean, just Stanley in general as a character. I mean, people love Stanley. You're right. It's a great balance for sure.
It is, and then so I loved how they all end up back, like how she calls Mo. And of course, Kai, you know, figures it out and goes there and then like
stalks
all of it. And it's really interesting. She's like got two guys stalking her. She's got that hit on her head, but then they find out, like, I mean, who called it that it was somebody from Kai's group though? Like I was like right away, I was like, it's weird that they found her spot. And then
I knew who it was. Yeah.
And then it was like, Sam, I'm like, get over it, Sam.
Well, especially when you knew that Leon also had a hit, then you knew it was him for sure because they both had a hit on their head. And who they were like, who would be like that dumb to like, so I liked that though. I liked that, you know, we got to see Kai kind of prove his loyalty to Danny too. I like Kai that he's just kind of relentless, like, you know, from the moment he just knew that he loved her, even though he he wasn't betrayed by her. I mean, it's an interesting relationship considering, you know, how they came to be. So I don't know, I feel like they were kind of on even playing fields after that. And then I don't want to jump around either, but like I loved the underlying not mystery, but like storyline of what happened with his old girlfriend, you know, and we learned what the bets were about and his, you know, why they're against the guild, you know, what happened with Mo and Mo's child. Very interesting. And then also what happened with this ex thinking she was guild, and then it turned out, oh, plot twist, she's not guild, plot twist, she was guild. And connected to Leon.
That was like mind blowing. And the fact that they're connected, but then like, Leon knew.
and Leon knew, and that's why Leon didn't want, it wasn't just that like, oh, every mercenary that goes to him, that's a suicide mission. It was that also it's, you know, the one person that he kind of had cared about, Layla. Yeah, that's the right name, right? Layla. Now I'm blanking. I believe it was like, yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the one that he had kept the promise to with Lucas from the Hades series. So that was interesting, and it was that they both had. It was like, you know, the same girl, but then they knew. You know, Danny finding that out, I think, was a lot too. But they never really, you know, it wasn't love for Kai. Danny is his love, and I think that was kind of stated in a way that I really felt that. So
there was something that happened to them on that island where even though she was hiding who she was, she got to show some of her more humanity side of herself with him. And I think that that's what's really helped Kai.
Yeah.
But I also like how, and there's just certain things, like she had opportunities to do things to him and she didn't. And anybody else from the guild and being a honey trapper or anything, a mercenary with them would have. So I think that's what's helped him to like have faith in that they do have something. And and that was the thing when he realized, like in those videos of her crying, was her actually laughing.
Yes.
You know, like I was just like, I did just like
even more.
Yeah. And I feel for Kai because I feel like he tries to hide that he has his heart on his sleeve with her. And I think that's causing problems with Danny, or did. Like, cause like she, you know, he witnessed her doing this and that and other thing. And you know, she's like, oh, this is when he's gonna leave. This is when he's seeing my true self and he's gonna leave. And he doesn't, but she's reading it wrong. Like she's like, oh, he just doesn't realize, you know what I mean? So like those times like really were hard for me because I feel for Danny, because she's like, just like when she's talking to Mo and she's like, well, like, I don't do friends. I can't do friends. You know, I feel bad for her because like the way she was raised, basically. But like this group could be her found family very easily, you know. But I also love, and I'm like, what I'm loving about this is like a lot of times in like a relationship with like this many people, whatever, what would we call that? A menage,
MFM.
So is the fact that the guys are still not getting along.
I love it. I love their like,
I love how Leon's like, yeah, I'll give him the note that you're leaving so he doesn't think you abandoned him. And then he's like, nope. And how he like moved her clothes and hid them from him.
Yes,
like
that was so funny.
I was just like, Leon. Like I just like, but like I love it because like
character.
But then they had these moments where like they both slept in the same bed. Like, you know, like Kai broke out of his room when he got trapped in it and ended up in bed. And even Leon was saying he slept really good that night. And then he wakes up and Kai's there. You know, so like I'm just waiting for them to all figure out that they actually are all good for each other. And I think, can we move to the end now? Did we cover the middle good enough?
I do want to, before we go to the ending, I do want to just mention how last book, we thought that Danny was one of the test tube babies, and we do discover that she wasn't. That's kind of a surprise that she wasn't, that she was just, that she still was a victim of them, of being taken by the orphanage.
I'm happy she wasn't a test, and that came out very naturally. Like it was like her thought or something, right? And I liked how it's like, okay, she's not a test tube baby, but she was dropped off by her mother to the orphanage, and so
them in a predatory way.
So there's definitely that kind of culty brainwashy thing going on there where she's like
and then her two friends being in there, we got more information on, you know, what they're all doing, because there was some, I think we had some suspicion, and I like how Leon went to both girls, and he like checked them out because he didn't want that threat for her. There's still a price on her head with the guild, and he wanted to make sure that they're not going to betray her.
Yeah.
So he went and kind of interviewed both of them, and then we think that one of her friends is dead with that whole fire.
I'm torn. I'm torn between all that. So yeah, Leon goes and he checks everybody out, and he's learned. What I love is like all the things we've learned the checkout, like how, you know, like Jude's always complaining about her boss, but there she's giving him a blowjob and
that's
stuff.
like, we're like, what's going on there?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. And then what, the other friend, is her name Subby?
Sabine.
That was interesting because like they saved her, but then she was kind of sketchy sometimes, like, oh, I got a call from so and I had to leave. So I am suspicious of her as well. So I feel like I'm suspicious of both friends. I did not read Hades, so I don't know like if there's any connection there from those two.
Sabine is in Hades like for she's mentioned and she helps out in a way, like, you know that she's an employee there, but you don't know she's guild. So that was like a surprise to people, but she's only mentioned, you know, here and there, very, you know,
but we don't know
on.
who her mark is yet.
I think that maybe because Tate said that she's writing in this world for a while, I think that maybe she'll get her own series. I could be wrong. That's my prediction, that we're gonna get her own story.
That's what I was hoping. Yeah. I was hoping for that. Yeah.
So that's, I mean, right, that I'm really intrigued by that. But I'm a little suspicious of Jude and what's going on there. I don't, you know.
So I don't think Jude's dead.
I don't think Jude's dead either.
Okay. So because like I know that like, and I know that's like killing Danny, but I think Jude is a mole of some sort. I really think that she's not. I think she's has issues with the fact that she didn't get to be a mercenary like she wanted to be, that and I think she's playing her own game and she's really good at it.
And we learned that her parents were in the guild, right? And then, you know, she got injured. Dandy did save her. And then we're also like, we don't know who is, you know, well, and that's the whole thing is Kai knows that Leon is one of the, you know, the guild, the heads of the guild, and like tells Danny, and then Leon can't confirm or deny it, which I was surprised. I thought he was going to be open and honest with her, like from the start about it, but he like kind of didn't confirm or deny it with her when Kai mentioned it. So I found that to be interesting. So I'm like, well, what if Judith, like, what if, you know, her parents are on the head? What if she's higher up? You know, Leon doesn't even know. So
he knows some though, right? He knows he's not supposed to.
I think he does know, yeah, because I think his family was like a founding family or something of it, or well, they all are. I don't know. He seems to know more, with his skills. So I think there's definitely a lot still going on.
There is. And then the steamy scenes too, I have to bring up. There was some good, like, you know, just like she didn't make them watch each other, but there was, you know, there was those like, I'm going to him and I'm going to him. And then like, no one like really freaked out about it. But then I felt for Danny because like, she's hoping to have this like 3 of them together. Yeah. Somehow like that, you can tell like she would, that would be optimal for her. But then here they are still like, well, I'm just waiting for you to drop him, or I'm waiting, in another one's like, oh, I'm just waiting for you to let me kill him, you know. And it's just like, so
and I'm gonna reveal,
can we do the ending?
let's do the ending. You take it away, Sarah.
Okay, well, so we find all the data and we're slowly getting some things, and that's when it's realized that, you know, that the connection between everybody and blah blah. Yeah. Okay. So then but then, you know, Danny,
the other series too. Just yeah.
So then basically, you know, poor Danny is like with the guys, walks in on them talking and fighting. She was hoping, you know, that they would be getting along and stuff. And then she basically was like, you know what, I'm choosing myself, which is like good for her. you know, and like them being stunned, like, wait, what? Because like they don't want to admit it, but they kind of already admitted that like she's it for them.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then she leaves. And I was like, good for you. But also like I'm in my head and I'm going, okay, girl, you throw your phone out of the car. Do you have a wallet on you? Do you have like a gun? Do you have like, I'm like, what do you do? How, I mean, obviously she's trained, but I'm like thinking for myself, like if I was just to get in my car barefoot and like drive off, like I think she's barefoot, like I'd be like, you know, like I'm just like, how do you do that? Anyway, so she's in the car. Her car gets crashed into, rolls, shoots a guy. Do you love my summary right now, everybody? And then we find out that, and then her mom shows up. We don't know it's her mom. She's like, hands off my daughter. And then, you know, fade to black. And I'm like, her mom. Like we never, because she's raised in an orphanage. Like I never thought that she still, but after Mo's story,
yes.
So I wonder if her mom is the info giver.
Yeah. And you know, if she was taken, maybe this is why she has a hit on her. Maybe it's, you know, they said that they think that it's like anyone who is part of that or perceived. They thought originally like, well, maybe they think that she's a test tube baby. So we're just gonna get rid of all the evidence, and you're not quite sure like what's going on. So maybe, you know, I feel like maybe she could be somehow related to somebody who's on the guild's like main the board. What do they call it? The inner circle. What is it called? I can't. Is it called the inner circle?
The circle?
The circle, yeah. Is that what it's called? Okay. Basically someone like on Leon's level, like maybe there's something there where, you know, she was I don't know.
Yeah. Because they're focusing so much on what's his name? Blanchett?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah. And I'm curious on what
that's under. Yeah. So like why is there a hit on her? Why is he cleaning house on this project? I just feel like that's the fact that Leon is like I just feel like that's gonna come into play, that he's at the top, the head of the guild part is going to come into play more.
Yeah.
I think, especially with this reveal.
We have one more book.
I'm excited. You know what? I think a trilogy works for this series. I think with, and you know, I'm always like, I need more. I want more of the characters. But I think it's paced so well that, you know, I think it makes the story move at a very good, like, I think the pacing is great for it.
I think it is great because I wasn't getting, Megan knows this. I have a hard time with series. The second book, I need a break either in the middle of it or by the end of it. I don't feel that way with this one. Like if book 3 came out today, I'd be able to read it without needing a break, if that makes sense. But that's most Tate James books. I usually don't need a break from. But I think all of them, I think even Kit Davenport, like that's a lot of books. And I read that one. Like,
that.
Yeah.
So
that's a good one.
Well, Kate is an amazing writer.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to see where this new, but like her mom wasn't gentle. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm very interested to see what that
connected.
But she is connected. And it's amazing that Leon doesn't know, because he's so good at hacking and looking into things. And so like it was interesting to see him like being like who, like, because he's like, he couldn't even figure out where she lived and stuff. So it's just very interesting.
Well, yeah, and I like that you pointed out that Kai was able to, but Leon wasn't able to. So that's you know, that is very interesting. I don't know if I thought about that enough.
But okay, can we talk about Carlos and what the happened there? Like, so Kai kidnaps him, but doesn't like kill him, then lets him go, and then his assistant drops off Stanley. And then Carlos is like done with her. Is he done with her, or what happened? Megan, what are your theories?
My theories are that maybe there was a condition of Kai letting him go, and he was like, you know, stay away from her, but then again, maybe he was like doing that as a front at first, and he's gonna tell Danny later. I don't know. I feel like the fact that like Kai had him and then all of a sudden he's released, I don't know. I just felt like maybe, but he was right though. He said that like Danny would never forgive him if he laughed, because if you kill him, Danny's never gonna forgive you. And they had this, hearing their story about how they became friends and everything. I just feel like it could, like, is the assistant doing so? I don't know. There's something up. And I'm trying to figure out if it's just as basic and black and white as the fact that Kai kidnapped him and maybe it was just how he agreed to get out of it, or if there's something else. What do you think, Sarah?
I don't know, because I was very hurt when that happened.
Or
And so
I don't think he was mad at her though.
I
for the
don't
couple
think
thing.
I think he's trying to protect her.
Okay.
That's what I was reading into it. That thing where you're like, like shooing the dog away, trying to get but it's really like protecting it in like movies.
Ooh,
You know what I
that's,
mean? So
yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
so that's how I felt, was him like trying to push her away to protect her from something. Because
Okay, yeah. Interesting.
I wonder what him and Kai's agreement ends up being. Because like,
Kai
and then
knows a lot of stuff. Maybe Kai uncovered something and
and
was
then
like,
does Kai
"Are you-"
provide his arms, like his weapons? Like maybe.
Good question, because Kai seems to be like the arms dealer to like a lot of people. We
Yeah.
learn. Yeah.
So I just wondering what the connection is there, or if it's
Mhm.
like, or if like Carlos figured out somebody else was watching him, so he needed to stay
Mhm.
away from her, so like that person wouldn't find her.
That's an interesting theory.
Or did he figure out Judith? Say Judas is a bad seed here. And
But
so
you said
he
it's
figured, because
Sarah.
she called him to tell him that Judith was dead. Is that why he was like pushing? Maybe he knows something, and is that why he's pushing her away? So like that. I'm
Maybe.
saying Carlos is still good, and that he's trying to save her by pushing her away.
I agree. I think Carlos is loyal to her.
Mhm.
And I think it either has to do with something like with the Kai kidnapping. I like that. But when you just said Judith, something popped into my head. Judith, Judas, Judith, Judas. The way you just said her name made me think of Judith and betraying. What
Mhm.
if that's one of those Tate like
Mhm.
subtle hints? What if
Yeah.
the name? I could be reading way too much into it, but
But it makes sense, because like we would think, no, she wouldn't do that to Danny because Danny saved her.
yeah. And
Maybe she didn't want Danny to save her, or maybe
and
she's still jealous because that night, remembered, that got
mhm.
Danny promoted.
And the fact that we were already suspicious, but then Leon goes and confirms it and then tries to like make it in our minds be like, okay, no, we've already exhausted that. She's not betraying her, because like Leon went there and he believes that he's a good judge of character, but maybe that's like to throw us off, because they did leave suspicion with the death. We know she's probably not dead. That this is the way that it was filmed. Danny didn't feel like she was dead. And then the boss thing, that was left, I think, on purpose. That was weird.
What if
So
Judith isn't even fully hurt and she just fakes it? What is
what do you
that?
think?
That's a movie too. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. But there's like a movie where he acts like it's some criminal, and he acts like
Yes,
he has a limp. And then like at the last scene, he walks away and then he stops his limp.
Scream or something. No, Scream
No,
made fun of it. Scream, no, the movie that
it's
makes
like The
fun of
Usual
Scream.
Suspects or
Yes,
something.
and
Yeah.
then the movie that made fun of Scream,
Yeah.
Scary Movie, made fun of it. Okay,
Oh,
that's what it was. I'm just remembering David. Was that her?
yeah. I forgot his name, but
Someone
yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, sorry. But
Anyway,
I'm like,
that's a
maybe
great theory.
like she
That's
could
a
have left
great
out her
theory.
window, and set it all
We
up.
this is guild here. They infiltrate, they plant, they're spies, they play the long game. She could have been playing the long game with her, and they train them. And Danny's been a spy for how long? Judith, you're right. Couldn't this might have been that whole setup of her saving her? This could have been a long
Mhm.
play.
Yep.
That's a great, she could be faking that in. Oh my gosh. And like I said, so what if she is connected to the top? Her parents have been guild members. What if she is like circle? And what if like Danny is like technically like guild royalty or something too, and is like a member? And maybe like the mom, wasn't there like a family that got lost or something?
Yeah. 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 Leon talked about something that there used to be 7, but now there's
And
not, but no one knows that or something.
why would you bring that up unless A, Tate's going to do another book about it, or B, that's part of the plot? You wouldn't just mention that. So, okay. Yeah. I'm just coming up with this why.
Yeah.
So her mom, Whitith, they're like the 7th lost family, right?
Mhm.
They're the lost family. And that's
It's
why. And then,
Stanny's. It's the DeLuna family.
yes, they're the lost family. She was raised that way for a reason. And then like Judith was planted because they knew.
Yeah.
And she was, yep, Judith, Dad, you know what I mean? The betrayer. I'm confident in this theory that we both have crafted just by talking about it. I am confident in it. I now believe this wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm excited just because it's just, I don't know.
Well, it's hard because you're reading it and you're just trying to digest what you just read.
Mm-hmm.
But then the whole time I was reading it, I'm like, this can't be real. Like, I'm like, I just don't believe it. Like, I feel like this is the whatever it's called that like takes you away from
the red herring.
Yeah.
Red herring, maybe. Yeah. And Tate plants things in her books.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And this this one was a really good read, and I'm really excited for the next one. And it's so funny because I liked Leon in the first book. I was very team Kai by the end of it.
Yes.
And now it's like I really hope in the third book we obviously get to see them work together to get her back. I hope they work their way through it. Like I want some like good gnarly fight or something, but like I hope
this is what bonds them.
Yeah.
Brings them together.
Yeah.
That's what I hope too. Yeah. Well, and Tate, didn't come out. She didn't say it was going to be, menage. She didn't say it was going to be reverse harem or MF, or MF. She just, isn't labeling it. So, I think they're all going to end up together.
Though. I know. I'm assuming it's someone not. I would be sad if someone died and it ended up MF or someone left. That would make me sad.
Yeah. It would be a twist though. I'm like, I would be sad, but I'm like, oh, it could be a good twist. But yeah, and I know I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think so. I think it's gonna. I'm excited. I'm really excited for the next book.
Me too.
This has been and I like the spy kind of. I like this take on romance. I love Tate has great plots in her story.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like thriller with romance in it. Spy.
Yeah, it's suspenseful. Yeah. It's good. Do you have a hair of a book that goes with this one?
Do you have a bear?
So my only thing is it made me really want to reread The Princess Ballad.
Ooh, love that series. That's a good one. That I think not enough Tate James fans know. It's a co-write. It's so good. That's a great menage.
Yeah.
Really cool dystopian plot.
Well, and that one's good too because it's like it's not insta love. They have to work for it. There's like it's a good. I really like that.
I love that. Series. That's a great one. Trying to think of books that are either similar or that like I read after. I feel like initially, I think what I read right after this was Dukes. I think that's what I read because I read this early on. I believe it was Dukes, which was great because you need something like of the same caliber after something that's good. So I believe that's what I had originally read after it. But I can't think of any other books that have this kind of like spy espionage. I've seen some mercenaries, but nothing like this. This is really unique.
Yeah. I mean, there's mafia books out there. I guess that might be similar, but no, not like this. Not like this.
I think the Death Club is a fun one for psycho if you're going for a psycho romance. And I read that recently, the second part of the duet. So I definitely recommend that. That was a great read. So Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti, and then Dukes is by Angel Laughlin.
And Samantha Rue.
Oh my gosh, so sorry.
They're all co-writes.
I know, right?
Our hair of the books.
It's because we were just talking about Angel Awesome before this.
Yes.
So that's why.
Having a little talk about our love for Angel. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. We're looking forward to our next book. When does it come out? June?
June, I believe.
Yes.
I don't want to say the wrong date. I know it's
Somewhere
June.
in June. Yeah.
I want to say it's the 28th, but I don't think it. I don't know. No, it might be
Yeah,
sooner
we
than
won't say. We don't want to give you guys the wrong information, but we're looking forward to it. Yeah.
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 Which is soon. It's very soon.
Very soon. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on the Book Over. Bye.
Bye.